The next thing that we are adding into our notebooks is inequality story problems, and that is going to be on page 42. Oops, sorry, I'm hitting the camera. Okay, so your title page is going to go over here on the left, and then the second page over here on your right. So go ahead and pause if you need time to glue those in or add into your table of contents. Okay, so when we are looking at inequality story problems today, we need to make sure we remember those key terms that we learned earlier on. So we looked at those key terms of what told us to add, subtract, and what it told us to do with inequality. So just as a reminder, if we see is equivalent, is the same as, right, all of that is an equal sign. Okay, is less than, is fewer than, is smaller than, there's our less than. Is greater than, is more than, it's larger than, right? We'll use our greater than sign. Is at most, is no more than, is less than or equal to. This is our less than or equal to. So remember, is not more than, right? Is less than. So our last one here is greater than or equal to. Is not less than, is at least. Okay. We're going to look for those key terms when we're setting up our inequality for each story problems. Okay, once we have actually solved our story problem, though, we're not going to have a specific answer. Instead, we are going to have a solution set. Okay, it's representing an infinite amount of solutions. So we're then going to have to do some work to interpret that to decide what it means in the given problem. Okay, so if we look at our first example here, Matt plans to spend no more than $78 on 2 shirts and a pair of jeans. He bought the 2 shirts for $19.89. At most, how much did he spend on jeans? Okay, so this should sound very familiar, right? Matt is planning to spend a total of no more than $78. So we talked about this with our story problems with equations. As soon as we see that it's a total, that starts going in our brain, oh, I need to be setting up a blank plus blank equals blank, except we're not using an equal sign, right? Our 78 is over here, but we want to spend no more than $78, right? And is no more than up here is our less than or equal to. So instead of an equal sign, we're gonna put in a less than or equal to. And then we are going to complete this just like we did our total story problems. Okay, we know he's purchasing 2 shirts and a pair of jeans. He bought both of the shirts for $19.89 each. So it was $19.89 per shirt, and he bought 2 of them. We want to find how much he spent on a pair of jeans. We don't know what that is. We're looking for our jeans. He bought 1 pair of jeans. So we're just putting our J in here as our other blank. There's not a number to put in front of it because he only bought 1 of them. And we don't know the cost. Okay, so now this is something we can solve. Okay, so we're going to take that $19.89 times 2. Which will give us the $39.78. And we will undo adding with subtracting, or a positive with a negative. Okay, so when we subtract this gives us a final solution of J is less than or equal to $38.22. Now remember, this represents a lot of answers. So it's saying if we were to put this on the number line, okay, somewhere in here, we're somewhere sort of in between, right, $38 and $39. We don't have to be exact. We'll just sort of make it. So right over here, this is going to be a solid circle, and it's going to be anything going to the left. Okay, it is representing that Matt can spend $38, $37, $36, $35. Okay, Matt spent $38.22 or less on his jeans. Anything less than $38.22, well, including $38.22 or less, is all something that would be a possible option that he could have spent on jeans. Jovi is a sales associate in a clothing section at Gimbel's. Each week she earns $250 plus a commission. Okay, her commission is equal to 3% of her sales. This week her goal is to earn no less than $460. We're gonna write and solve an inequality to find the dollar amount of the sales she must have to reach her goal. Okay, so we know that we're looking for her amount of sales, right? We also know that she wants to earn a total of no less than $460. So that right away tells us we want the blank plus blank equals blank, right? But we're leaving that out. We're gonna look. It says no less than. So we know if we look over here at our list, no less than is greater than or equal to. Okay, we know she earns $250. And we know that she earns 3% of her sales. If you remember that of is telling us to multiply. So we want to take 3% times her sales. Well, we can't multiply with 3% as it is, right? We have to turn this into a 0.03. That's something that we talked about way back in our percent unit or our percent day. This is something we can now solve, right? So we'll undo a positive 250 with a negative 250. Let's see, $210. Undo multiplication with division. Again, the solving at this point shouldn't be the most challenging part. That should be something we're more comfortable with. Okay, so when we solve this, S is greater than or equal to, we get 7,000, right? So our solution here is S is greater than or equal to 7,000. So again, what does this really mean? Again, I'm not so worried about all the numbers around it. This means that this is a filled in circle. We are including this and anything to the right of it. So 7,000, 7,100, 8,000, 10,000, 4 million. Any of those values are correct. Okay, so this tells us Jovi, okay, wants to have $7,000 or more in sales. Okay, that's the only way she's going to reach her goal. Okay. A freight elevator for Wayne Enterprise in Gotham can safely carry a load of at most 4,000 pounds. A worker needs to move supplies in 50-pound boxes from the loading dock to the fourth floor of the building. The worker weighs 160 pounds. The cart the worker is using weighs 95 pounds. What is the greatest number of boxes that the worker can move in one trip? Okay, so what is the most amount that this can carry? 4,000 pounds. So we have a blank plus a blank. Right, not an equal sign because we're going to see at most. Okay, is at most is telling us less than or equal to. Okay, things that we know that are going to be on here. A worker needs to move 50-pound boxes. Okay, and we want to know the greatest number of boxes. So our, I don't know, variable, B is going to equal number of boxes. Okay, that 50 is happening per box. Okay, the cart that it's carrying the boxes in, that's 95 pounds. So we got to consider that. And I'm assuming, right, the worker's controlling it, so the worker's got to go with it. So this one we need to actually put an additional addition sign on here, right? We said it could be blank plus blank, but we said we could add up as many things as we needed to. So we might have to add an additional blank like we did on this one. Okay, so now we do have some like terms we could combine. We can take this 160 plus 95 and get 255. Okay, then we can undo this by subtracting. So let's see, if we do 4,000 minus 255, we'll get 3745. Okay, so then we'll divide that by 50. Okay, so when we look at our solution here, our solution says B is less than or equal to 74.9. And if we graph this, right, we're a filled in circle and we're to the left, but we also have to consider the fact that 0.9 of a box isn't an option. Okay, so the greatest number of boxes that the worker can move in one trip, okay, the greatest amount that he can move is 74. Okay, there can be 74 boxes moved at most. And this is one of the situations where we write it this way that the rounding is actually less of an issue because it tells us it has to be less than or equal to, right? It's less than. 75 isn't included. So you can tell we can't round to that 75 because it wasn't part of our solution set.